Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Market Mantra, the program in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I am V. Ravi Kumar and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Vishal Sharma.
नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत। प्रतिदिन की तरह आज भी हम आप तक आर्थिक, व्यापारिक और शेयर बाजार से जुड़े ताजा समाचार लाएंगे और उन पर चर्चा भी करेंगे। चर्चा के लिए आज हमारे साथ ऑनलाइन मौजूद हैं आर्थिक विश्लेषक जयंता दास। जयंता दास, नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आपका स्वागत।
नमस्कार।
और सबसे पहले हेडलाइंस।
Domestic indices log modest losses in sync with Asian markets. US stocks plunge yesterday amid continued decline in tech shares. And gold rises to 52,149 rupees per 10 grams in the Delhi bullion market.
एशियाई बाजारों में गिरावट के चलते घरेलू शेयर बाजार मामूली नुकसान के साथ हुए बंद। टेक्नोलॉजी शेयरों में गिरावट जारी रहने के बीच अमेरिकी शेयर बाजार लुढ़के और दिल्ली सराफा बाजार में सोने के दाम बढ़कर 52,149 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर पहुंचे। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत शेयर बाजार की खबर से ही कर लेते हैं। बंबई स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स आज लगातार दूसरे कारोबारी सत्र में गिरावट के साथ बंद हुआ। एशियाई बाजारों में गिरावट का असर बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के सेंसेक्स और निफ्टी दोनों पर देखा गया। साथ ही कोविड-19 वैक्सीन बना रही कंपनी एस्ट्राजेनेका द्वारा वैक्सीन परीक्षण बीच में ही रोके जाने की खबर से भी निवेशकों की धारणा कमजोर पड़ी है। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 171 अंक गिरकर 0.45% के नुकसान के साथ 38,194 पर बंद हुआ। इसी तरह नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी भी 39 अंक टूटकर 0.35% नीचे 11,278 पर आ गया। व्यापक बाजार में बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स 0.28% नीचे आया और स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स में 0.94% की गिरावट देखी गई।
The BSE Sensex today fell for a second session in a row. Sensex and Nifty closed down in sync with Asian markets as a rout on Wall Street and AstraZeneca pausing its COVID-19 vaccine trials dented investors' sentiments. The 30-share BSE index Sensex declined to end at 38,194, down 171 points or 0.45%. In a similar movement, the NSE Nifty settled 39 points or 0.35% lower at 11,278. At the broader market at the BSE, the mid-cap slipped 0.28%, while the small cap declined 0.94%. SBI was the top loser among the Sensex constituents, tumbling 4.5%, followed by Bajaj Finserv, Axis Bank, ONGC, ITC, Bajaj Finance, ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank and HDFC Bank. On the other hand, Tata Steel, Reliance Industries, Sun Pharma, Bharti Airtel and Asian Paints were among the major gainers, climbing by up to 3%. Asian markets spiraled lower after technology stocks continued to witness heavy selling on Wall Street. Risk appetite was further jolted after AstraZeneca said it is pausing trials of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate following a recipient developing a potentially unexplained illness. BSE Bankex, Finance, Realty, IT, Industrials and FMCG indices fell by up to 2.1%, while energy, metal, healthcare, telecom, basic materials and power closed in the green. Jayanta, are you live with us?
Yeah.
Jayanta, how would you like to analyze today's market movements? Pretty much a fall that we saw for a second session in a row.
Yeah. See, obviously, the U.S. stock meltdown over the last 2-3 days, and especially led by Tesla, had its domestic effects also. But on the whole, I guess RIL saved the day, at least in terms of Sensex not crashing further from here on. But there was obviously a huge slide-off in the banking index. And I think if the Sensex remains in the range of 38,000-39,000 levels and holds on, at least for the next 1 week or so, I guess it will be, if not anything, as per expectations, number one. Number two, Nifty also is getting a good, decent support, and it has not reached the support of 11,250 levels. And I think taking a cue from there, what we have to strategize, specifically those who want to, seek an investment strategy, I guess as a midterm strategy, they should focus on three sectors: IT, FMCG, and pharma. And these are typically, with the busy season so-called opening up, and although these are COVID times and there's nothing called a slack or busy season, but despite that, what I see is with, September, October, and, our economy also opening up very gradually, although the numbers are still very high in terms of COVID rates, and there is no relenting drop or any sort of, curve bending on that side. But despite that, what I believe is IT, pharma, and FMCG sector are going to, be a bit more safer lot than the other sectors, which are seeing far more volatility than expected.
And to join the markets in depth, we are now joined by Avinash Gorakshakar, market analyst. Avinash, welcome to Market Mantra.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Avinash. Our expert Jayanta believes IT, FMCG and pharma are the sectors which are the key sectors in which investors should look for buying opportunities. What's your view, and also your view on today's market movements?
I think commenting first on the market movement, the markets have been, under a kind of a selling wave largely because of global cues. I think markets are worried that now with the US elections approaching very nearby, I think clearly these kind of political and global news flows are going to impact the markets, because one thing is very much sure, that our markets have been driven largely by liquidity. And earlier shows also have made it very clear that, on ground, the fundamentals have not changed. So I think, your earlier guest who commented that one should look at financials or consumption, pharma, I think definitely these are sectors which are far more resilient. In fact, you could see a lot of buying in IT also. So I would also concur to this fact, and I would suggest that it's going to be a very selective stock-specific market, because even as of now, markets have not corrected very sharply. There could be possibility that we could, even see levels of 11,000 if global markets don't recover fast, because in all probability, the fear among the market is that if there are some outflows from FIs and some other political developments which happen, and the global markets continue to remain on a negative note, then this is definitely going to impact, emerging markets like India. Net, I think the earnings season is now over, so the focus will be on global kind of news flow till the time we get some other macro factors and local factors which will actually drive the market based on domestic factors.
Avinash, IT is something that's supposed to be, especially after the pandemic, people were considering it as a sector which is almost non-stick, so anything that you throw at it doesn't stick. But with the recent meltdown that you've seen in the last couple of sessions with NASDAQ especially, although we are here in stock futures today, NASDAQ is up, but in last two sessions it's been down. Do you still feel IT is something that will lead us into the future?
Yeah, I think you must realize that, valuations of companies which are listed on NASDAQ like Google or Facebook or Netflix have been trading at very high valuations, compared to Indian companies. So definitely there will be a sentimental effect. I think the bigger story for Indian IT companies is the digital space. With Corona and now digital online services gathering momentum, our sense is that, IT companies have not now gone on the drawing board and actually started looking at digital opportunities over the next 5-10 years. So there's a great scope for Indian companies to grow. And most importantly, companies like Infosys, HCL Tech, over that is even a TCS, does not trade for more than 16-17 times, 1 year forward earnings. So these valuations are not grossly expensive. Most of these companies are cash rich. They don't have problems of, debt on the books. And most importantly, have been giving very healthy dividends. In fact, some companies have given, buybacks also quite, favorably. So my sense is, this kind of weak market, if one gets an opportunity, one should definitely build positions in IT, but selectively. I think one should not go and buy everything. But the frontline companies and some mid-cap companies definitely, which are, fundamentally solid, have got good cash in the books, should definitely be looked upon. I think there's a good order book visibility at least for the next 6 to 12 months.
जी अविनाश, और अगर आज हम बैंकिंग सेक्टर की बात करें तो बैंकिंग शेयरों में आज काफी गिरावट रही है, खासतौर पे पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक में। और क्या ये गिरावट का आप कुछ संबंध इससे भी देखते हैं कि आरबीआई ने जो केवी कामत समिति बनाई है और उसकी जो लोन रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग की रिपोर्ट जो है, वो ऋण पुनर्गठन की रिपोर्ट जो है वो उसने दी है, तो ये क्या सरकारी बैंकों पर ये जो लोन रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग है ये दबाव बढ़ाएगी और उसका असर अब दिखने लगा है बैंक के प्रदर्शन पर?
नहीं, बिल्कुल आपने सही कहा। केवी कामत का रिपोर्ट ने कहा है कि 26 ऐसे सेक्टर है जहां पे रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग करने की जरूरत है, और कोरोना पैंडेमिक में तो काफी नुकसान इन बैंकों को रिकॉर्ड करना पड़ेगा अगर रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग होता है। रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग का सीधा मतलब है कि उनका जो कैश फ्लो है वो थोड़ा इम्पैक्ट होगा नियर टर्म में। और सबसे बड़ी बात हमको लग रहा है कि जो माइक्रो फाइनेंस के लोन है प्लस जो अनसिक्योर्ड लोन बुक है ये बैंकों का, यहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा रिस्क है। और ये नॉट ओनली पीएसयू बैंक को लिए तकलीफ देगा, बट इवन प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक जहाँ अनसिक्योर्ड बुक पे ज्यादा पैसा लगाते हैं वहां पे दिक्कतें हो सकती है, क्योंकि बेसिकली वहां पे कोई कोलैटरल नहीं लेने के बाद वो लोन दिया जाता है। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि नियर टर्म में मार्केट थोड़ा सा चिंता में इसलिए है कि अभी अगर इस रिपोर्ट के ऊपर थोड़ी बहुत इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बातें आरबीआई करता है और हो सकता है कि अगली मीटिंग में अगर इसकी थोड़ी बहुत उसके ऊपर कमेंट्री करेगा तो डेफिनेटली बैंकों को दे विल हैव टू फॉल इन लाइन। तो ये डेफिनेटली वन ऑफ द रीजन है, क्योंकि बैंक्स का जो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है वो पूरी तरह से एसेट मॉनिटरिंग पे होता है। और रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग का मतलब सीधा है कि आपके जो बोरोअर्स है वो आपको पैसा अभी टाइम पे नहीं देंगे, थोड़ा उनको मोरेटोरियम मिलेगा। तो ये डेफिनेटली रीजन हो सकता है आज बैंकों की गिरावट के।
Avinash, a new set of rules on margin trading came into effect on September 1st, which was basically aimed to bring transparency and to prevent misuse of client shares by brokers. And on an earlier program, you explained that in detail, why that was so. Now that it's almost a couple of trading sessions down into September, is the impact of that being seen, or is it too early?
No, I think already, if I'm not wrong, I think till the 15th of September, this has been postponed. So, there has been some relaxation given by SEBI, to the brokers in collecting the margin. But after 15th of September, my sense is that, the retail volume, especially in some cash counters, this will not happen in frontline companies, as I've told you earlier also, and the F&O counter, because their, collection of margins have been extremely strict. But typically on the cash market side, brokers used to give, further relaxation to clients. I think that would definitely impact their volumes, and you would possibly see, that also be another factor which would actually impact the retail sentiment. I think a lot of, new investors entered the market, and obviously they started punting and speculating even on the cash side. So this is definitely going to get impacted, in the second half of this month. It may not get reflected in the very near term till 15th September, till the time some minor relaxations have been given by the SEBI to the broker.
And if you see, Avinash, in general, I mean, I'm looking at the FD rates, they're pretty much close to 5% for even longer terms that people invest in good banks, that is. Is that going to bring, because if the money, banks are flush with fund, they will really not raise interest rates on FD. Is that something that will draw retail money into stocks in the near future? Would you anticipate that?
Yeah, that is definitely bound to happen. A lot of new investors who have entered the market have clearly understood that, interest rates are not going to rise, and with soft money policy expected from the RBI, interest rates being low is not going to give any incentive for people to put money in banks. So that is also going to make a lot of people, possibly take out money from their savings accounts or maybe from their FDs and put it in the market. Of course, this could be either through mutual funds or maybe direct equity, but I think what we are seeing as of now is most of the retail, investors are actually playing on the sentiment and the momentum, which was extremely strong. So that is possibly the reason we saw a lot of Robinhood investors, opening new accounts for the first time. So these are those guys who had money in their accounts and are now trading. So that is definitely going to be a little volatile and risky for these investors. I think you need to be careful. Equity is an asset class which will give you good returns, but in the near term, if volatility turns around and the market starts underperforming, then these retail guys are definitely going to get stuck.
Avinash, if there's somebody listening to this and who's probably disillusioned with the FD returns, like we get a lot of callers on our call-in programs, what would you recommend to him? Should they enter equity at all as a class, or if they should it be through mutual funds or direct? What is your recommendation to people who are hitherto been in fixed instruments like fixed deposits?
Yeah, I think one thing is very clear that whoever wants to enter equity and make a huge, kind of wealth creation kind of corpus for him or her should realize that they should not invest if they don't have a 5 to 10 year horizon. If they have a lesser horizon, then it is better to put their money, via the mutual fund route, which is more safer. But somebody who has the risk appetite and the time frame in mind, at least 5 years, should definitely look at, investing in equity. And mind you, these returns could be significantly more than your FD return. But the only thing is, I think you need to select the right company, the right business, and obviously you need to give some time, for those investments to flourish. So it's not a very risky asset class, but the feeling is that investors expect returns very fast. So that is the feeling and the approach which is being followed by investors. Rather than expecting short-term returns, think long-term and invest in good companies and stay invested. I think the biggest problem is people like to time the market. So rather than staying longer in the market, obviously will yield good rewards, provided they put their money in good profitable, blue chip kind of company.
That was our market analyst Avinash Gorakshakar. Thank you, Avinash, for joining us on Market Mantra. Avinash, they're saying that anybody who's looking at equity as an asset class should not have an investment horizon less than 5 to 10 years. That's his recommendation. Now let's move on to the Asian markets, Vishal.
जी, एशियन बाजारों पर अगर नजर डालें तो टेक्नोलॉजी शेयरों में गिरावट से आज एशियाई बाजार टूट गए। वॉल स्ट्रीट में गिरावट के बीच एशियाई सूचकांक नुकसान के साथ बंद हुए। निवेशकों को अमेरिकी जॉब डाटा से जुड़े आंकड़ों का इंतजार है। बॉन्ड्स और डॉलर जैसे निवेश के सुरक्षित साधनों में भी निवेशकों ने उत्साह नहीं दिखाया। चीन का शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स 1.9% टूटा, जबकि जापान का निकेई और दक्षिण कोरिया का कोस्पी दोनों 1% के नुकसान में रहे। हांगकांग के हैंगसेंग में 0.6% और सिंगापुर के स्टेट्स टाइम्स में 0.2% की मामूली गिरावट दर्ज हुई। यूरोपीय बाजारों की बात करें तो आज अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में तेजी का रुख देखा गया। लंदन के फुट्सी 100 में 0.8% बढ़त देखी गई। जर्मनी के डेक्स में 0.5% और फ्रांस का कैक 40 0.9% की तेजी पर रहा।
Jayanta, let's look at what is the scenario in the Asian markets. Although I read a lot of these things these days that the technology stocks in US alone, their market cap is actually more than the entire European stock market market capitalization. And technology is currently in the interim short term not doing well. But how would you see the Asian and the European stock markets, the decline that we just mentioned today?
I guess Europe has seen some recovery, and as a result of which, as we speak, a couple of hours ago, some of the U.S. future stocks are also seeing a rebound after the sharp fall in Tuesday's trading. But taking a cue from there, we have a bigger fear at this point of time, and that is the Goldman Sachs report, which says that there is a volatility index which they closely monitor in terms of how volatile the markets are in terms of fear factor, and they are seeing levels which were not seen since 2000 when the stock bubble or the internet crash happened, specifically the bubble stocks and things like that. So almost 20 years down the line, they see a similar trend now happening in the Wall Street markets because of this recent upsurge in stocks and things like that. And I think that's cause to worry. In addition to that, what has also happened, is Trump has announced a decoupling of the U.S. economy from China. Now, in terms of policy implications, a hardcore technical decoupling definition means that the domestic manufacturer supplies to the domestic customer and nothing beyond. So it will take some time to happen, but it actually will trigger once again the weeks of an uncomfortable quietness between the U.S.-China trade tensions. Now this will get triggered. I don't know whether it's given its political pre-poll speeches and all which are happening, so there will be a lot of grandiousness also in terms of expressing such things, but they do bring in jitters to the market because Trump has never been found wanting when it comes to rubbing China the wrong way. So putting it in a very raw manner. So I guess in that sense also investors are a bit more worried now, believing the fact that once again the China-US trade war can bring in further bigger amount of volatility. But out of all this, what we also saw was gold has benefited to some extent because the focus on gold, if not has come back, but at least there's stability. And I think domestic gold prices have also seen a very small rise, and it has held on to this 52,000 plus levels. So it's an interesting mix and match in terms of what is happening, both in the Asian markets, specifically now, given that it's a election 2 months in USA. So I guess every single statement of Trump will have a global effect, and we will get to see these jitters globally. And that's how the world is right now.
जी जयंता, यहाँ ये जानना चाहेंगे आपसे कि अमेरिकी बाजारों में जो गिरावट है और खासतौर पर टेक्नोलॉजी शेयर्स में, तो ये एशियाई बाजारों में उसका असर दिखा है और गिरावट के साथ दिखा है, लेकिन यूरोपीय बाजारों में बढ़त देखी गई है। ये विरोधाभास क्यों है?
देखिए, उसका मेन वजह ये है कि ये अब माना जा रहा है कि यूरोपीय बाजारों में स्टेबिलिटी आने का चांसेस थोड़ा सा बेटर इसलिए है क्योंकि वहां पे नेशन का जो लड़ाई चल रहा है कोविड का, उसका जो रेजिलियंस फैक्टर है वो हर महीना या हर हफ्ता, महीना बोलना गलत होगा, हर हफ्ता उसमें थोड़ा सा फिगर्स फैक्ट थोड़ा इंप्रूव हो रहा है। और इसके अलावा हम सबको पता था कि मार्च एंड अप्रैल में यूरोप में जो कोविड का दौर यूरोप ने सामना किया, खास करके यूके, स्पेन, फ्रांस और इटली मिलके, वो दौर से लोग उभर के आए हैं और इस वक्त वो लोग एक अलग से उन्होंने एक ओवरऑल कमिटमेंट लिए है कि मार्केट को ओवरऑल इकोनॉमी को फोकस करना। तो उनका पास वो हेडरूम है या ब्रीदिंग है रूम है जहां पे वो लोग फोकस करके इकोनॉमी को दोबारा ट्रैक में वापस लेने का पूरी तरह से कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और साथ में कोविड का जो नंबर्स है वो भी थोड़ा बहुत वहां पे कंट्रोल्ड है और कर्व उन्होंने काफी हद तक बेंड कर दिया। तो ऐसा स्थिति मैं मानता हूं दुनिया में नहीं है। हालांकि ये बहुत मुश्किल होगा कहना कि लगातार यूरोप थोड़ा बहुत आउट परफॉर्म करते जाएंगे अगर यूएस मार्केट्स में मेल्टडाउन होता है या एशियन मार्केट्स में मेल्टडाउन होता है। लेकिन अच्छी बात यह है कि यूरोप से एक हम रेजिस्टेंस देख रहे हैं एटलीस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ जो मेल्टडाउन है। और ये अच्छी बात इसलिए है बिकॉज जर्मनी खास करके अपना जो सो कॉल्ड रिकवरी प्रोसेस जो है काफी स्थिरता के साथ फोकस मैनर में शुरू किया है और ये सारी चीजें कहीं ना कहीं कॉन्फिडेंस लेके आ रहा है। तो अभी भी स्थिति थोड़ा खराब है लेकिन दिसंबर तक मैं मानता हूं कि वो लोग शायद एस्टेब्लिश कर पाएंगे कि ये जो उनका लड़ाई है वापस इकोनॉमी को ट्रैक में ले आने के लिए उसमें थोड़ा बहुत आंकड़े का साथ वो एस्टेब्लिश कर पाएंगे कि हाँ हमारा लड़ाई सही दिशा में चल रहा है।
We'll continue discussing international markets. Let's quickly look at the US markets yesterday. The US stocks dropped for a third session yesterday as tech indices remained under pressure. Shares of Tesla plunged and witnessed its worst day in nearly 6 months. The Dow Jones Industrial Average declined 2.3%, the S&P 500 plunged 2.8%, and the Nasdaq Composite Index tumbled 4.1%. Jayanta, if you look at, of course, Tesla almost fell 21% yesterday, although in the initial pre-trading right now there are reports that it's up by almost 6%, but even then that leaves almost a 14-15% gap. The ostensible reason is that it wasn't included in S&P 500 list.
500, right.
Is that the only reason, or is there something else that's made?
Well, see, if you ask me purely, Ravi, what we see is Tesla had a dream run. I mean, let's not forget that. And I guess there has been punters, and maybe punters is a wrong word for Tesla, but there has been punters who came in to make a short kill. And they are all aware that, the collateral indices don't support individually Tesla's run. It's like, of course, Tesla in terms of valuation, no, auto major in the world has seen such sharp rise in valuation in such a short time, historically, ever since, the first car was manufactured in the world. So there is no doubt on that. But having said so, I guess there are punters who have came in and saw this dream run to be taken at a much more faster rate, and they would like to do some profit booking and all. So they needed some trigger somewhere to happen. And I guess not being included in this S&P 500, overall composite index, I guess brought in that trigger whereby these people thought, okay, let's do some sell-off, fast sell-off, and that's why this whole crash happened. But on the whole, the Tesla story remains very strong. And I'm quite hopeful it will change the way the world buys its automobile in the next 2 to 3 years.
All right. And there are a couple of other things that clearly bring trends to mind. And one is what the borrowing levels in the world. I mean, ever since World War II, I think there's been economists at least frown upon high debt to GDP ratio. But that seems to be changing now. And I was reading a report where America between April to June this year has added almost $3 trillion in borrowings. That's more than India's GDP.
Well, in India, we every time the budget comes in, and even during the normal time also, we keep on discussing fiscal deficit, right? 4.5% to 5% and 3.5% to 4% and how we manage that and things like that. And there are long discussions. America, I guess the rough ballpark fiscal deficit right now is around 25%. So that's the figure which we are, I guess, indicating. And a very right question which you have asked. Where does this borrowing goes? Because I guess I also read some paper, some research paper which says that I guess another 3 months like this and the borrowings will far outweigh even the size of the economy. So I actually, if you ask me very frankly, I guess just like the American government at this point of time are expecting, they look forward to a huge recovery happening post the election. And I guess they believe that some of the concerns will be ironed out from there. But then, as I said, this is a very unique situation happening for the first time in this century, or at least in the last 100 years. This century is only 20 years old, whereby we see, such abnormally high level of borrowings which the government are going in. But then this time, the excuse remains that, it was COVID times and then government had to resort to such measures. What's important to understand is back home in India, I guess, whether our government would like to take a cue in terms of, how stressed out it can be to bring in the economy back to its track in terms of increasing its borrowings and all. That's the important, I guess, thing to observe in the next few weeks.
Would you recommend that? Because most economists seem to be saying that this is the time to actually invest in the market, spend in the Indian economy. Otherwise, it might be later, it might be too late. Would you recommend that?
Let me put it in this manner. I guess no one differs, be it those people who are working with the government, or be it those people who are strongly, focusing on what the government is doing right or wrong. But no one differs. There has to be a huge amount of investment happening. Now, for the government of the day also, it's a huge challenge because, these are situations where, no one has faced. I think since 1947, we never had faced, growth, negative growth, which we are staring at this point of time for this fiscal. So it becomes 5 times more harder for the government of the day to take calls. But the good thing is we are all sure that investments should happen. Now, whether they would like to, ease out policies to such an extent that there is a flow of investments from external factors or external investors, or whether the government would like to take the budget itself and go ahead with its own borrowing, and so that it increases spending amount, is something which we have to figure out. In terms of spending, I guess the government has announced a huge number of projects, and they have taken off in their own manner here and there, whichever area they've announced in.
Right.
But I completely agree to the fact that borrowings have to be increased certainly a bit more to bring the economy back into track at a much more faster rate. Otherwise, we lose the bus, I guess.
जी जयंता। और अब हम रुपए के प्रदर्शन पर नजर डाल लेते हैं। घरेलू शेयर बाजारों के कमजोर प्रदर्शन के बावजूद आज रुपए में मजबूती का रुख रहा। अंतर बैंकिंग विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में रुपया 5 पैसे मजबूत होकर $1 के मुकाबले 73 रुपए 55 पैसे पर रहा।
Minister for MSME Nitin Gadkari has said that government aims to enhance MSME contribution to GDP from about 30% to 50% and in exports from 49% to 60%. Speaking at a virtual meet organized by Niti Aayog today, Mr. Gadkari said the government is aiming to create 5 crore additional jobs in the MSME sector, which presently employs about 11 crore people. Short comment on this, Jayanto, quickly. What do you think about MSME sector and its importance? In fact, in the 24% odd decline, the MSME doesn't seem to have been really included. Is that also correct?
Yeah, see, I guess taking a cue from your previous question about government borrowings, I think MSME is one sector where I guess the government now has a huge opportunity to turn it around in such a manner, in a tectonic way, so that MSME takes the lead in this overall growth story. Because let's not forget, most of the leading European nations, like Germany, Finland, Norway, it's the MSME sector which produces 60 to 70% of employment. So I guess when we speak of jobs lost in India because of COVID, as well as people who are looking forward for better jobs and things like that,
right,
I guess MSME should take the lead, and it's a huge opportunity which the government should not miss.
Right. Let's look at the oil market. Oil prices today witnessed some recovery, but a surge in COVID-19 cases in some countries undermined hopes for a steady recovery in global demand. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $40.30 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $37.50 per barrel.
और अब दिल्ली सराफा बाजार की बात कर लेते हैं। दिल्ली सराफा बाजार में आज सोने और चांदी की चमक तेज रही। सोने में 251 रुपए की तेजी आई और 10 ग्राम सोने का मूल्य 52,149 रुपए रहा। चांदी भी 261 रुपए उछलकर 69,211 रुपए प्रति किलो पर पहुंच गई। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों में सोने के दाम $1,931.60 प्रति औंस पर स्थिर बने रहे। चांदी भी अपने पूर्व स्तर $26.70 प्रति औंस पर बनी रही।
Quickly, Jayanto, where do you see gold moving in the next few months?
Well, I'm quite bullish on gold because, as I said, if the volatility remains as what Goldman Sachs is also indicating, I guess gold will be an important investment source whereby investors would like to shift in. What needs to be understood is if gold holds up to its levels at this point of time, in terms of Indian rupees, it is 52,000 to 55,000 levels. Gold will have a good decent run in the next 1 year.
तो कुल मिलाकर आगे भी सोने की चमक बनी रहने वाली है। और जयंता, आप कार्यक्रम में शामिल हुए और चर्चा की, आपका इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
शुक्रिया।
Thank you, Jayanto, for joining us live on Market Mantra and discussing the stories of the day. Before we close this edition of Market Mantra, a reminder of the headlines that we covered today. Domestic indices log modest losses in sync with Asian markets. US stocks plunged yesterday amid continued decline in tech shares, and gold rises to 52,149 rupees per 10 grams in the Delhi bullion market. That's all that we have in this edition of Market Mantra. Namaskar.
Market Mantra.